You know, sometimes the most powerful stories aren't the ones invented out of thin air. They're the personal ones.
Absolutely. The ones that feel like they clawed their way out of someone's memory.
And today, that's exactly what we're digging into. We're doing a deep dive based entirely on a firsthand account. What have you shared with us?
Yeah, someone wrote down this really unsettling experience from when they were a teenager, said it was their first time actually writing it all out.
So we're treating that written narrative as our primary source material here.
And our goal isn't like to definitively say, this is what happened or this is what it means.
No, not at all. It's more about exploring the story itself, unpacking the elements, seeing what hits hardest, what resonates, understanding the experience as it was told.
Right. So let's set the scene. The listener paints this picture of summer 2003, a pretty average suburban town.
Yeah, you know the type. Pastel houses, maybe some garden gnomes, sprinklers going off early in the morning heat. Very normal on the surface.
Our narrator is about 15, and they have this friend, Max.
Ah, Max. And Max had this, well, let's call it a peculiar hobby.
Yeah, the narrator mentions he collected dead animals he found, like kept them, which is striking.
It really is. Kind of an odd detail to start with, isn't it? Like a warning bell?
Definitely hints at maybe a different way of looking at things, a fascination with, well, the end of things. Maybe it even sets him up for what comes next.
Could be. So, picture this. Scorching hot August day. Max shows up, wants to go somewhere, but he's being cagey about the destination.
And the narrator gets that feeling, you know, that knot in your stomach that says, maybe this isn't a great idea.
A gut feeling. And it turns out to be spot on. They end up walking for ages.
7 miles, wasn't it? Down Route 1. That's a long walk in the heat.
It really is. And their destination, this old derelict farmhouse just off the highway.
And this place wasn't just abandoned. It had stories. Local rumors.
Exactly. The kind kids whisper about. Missing children, supposedly. Kids who went in and came out wrong.
Yeah, like something drained the life out of them, and then they just vanished a few days later. That kind of folklore just hangs over the place.
It really does. It amps up the dread before they even get close.
Yeah.
Like the house's reputation is pushing them away.
It makes you wonder, right? Is the place itself malevolent? Or is it the power of those stories, that fear, shaping what they experience?
Good question. So, despite the narrator really wanting to turn back, Max is, well, curious.
Yeah.
Morbidly curious, maybe.
That's with his hobby, I guess.
So they get there. The house looks awful. Way more decayed than it should be for just a few years of abandonment. Vines everywhere.
Nature taking it back fast.
And then the narrator catches something. It's a flicker. Movement in an upstairs window.
Gone in an instant.
Yeah, that classic horror beat, you know. Makes you doubt what you saw, but plants that seed of we're not alone.
It's super effective, undermines any sense of safety right away, suggests maybe those rumors aren't just stories.
So they push open the front door. Inside,
Yeah.
pretty much what you'd expect.
Graffiti, mold, decay.
Yep, that smell. Rotting wood. But strangely, the floors seem okay. They hold their weight.
Which is almost creepier in a way, like it's waiting.
And then they hear it, knocking from upstairs.
Oh, wow. Okay. Silence, then just knocking.
Yeah, echoing through the house. The narrator is terrified, obviously, but doesn't bolt immediately. Mentions feeling loyal to Max, not wanting to ditch him.
That's interesting, that friendship bond, even facing something terrifying. It's relatable.
It keeps him there, right? Lets the story unfold. Sometimes those connections make us do things our survival instinct screams against.
True. So what happens next? Do they investigate the knocking?
Well, Max gets distracted. He stays in the living room, looking through old stuff left behind. Records, diaries, signs of people leaving in a hurry.
Like they just dropped everything and ran.
Meanwhile, the narrator heads towards the kitchen and gets hit by this smell.
Not just mold this time.
No, described as sickly sweet. That unmistakable smell of, well, advanced decay.
Ugh. That's a primal warning sign. Smell hits differently than sight or sound sometimes.
Totally. So the narrator's moving towards this smell, about to see what it is, and suddenly Max just lets out this blood-curdling scream from the living room.
Okay, so whatever he found was bad. What was it?
He'd found a box, more diaries maybe, but also photos.
Photos of what?
A.B. photos.
Yeah.
And then photos of the narrator and Max growing up.
Wait, their photos? Like childhood pictures?
Exactly. Intimate stuff. Moments the narrator says they hadn't even shared with each other. How on earth?
Whoa. Okay, that's not random haunting. That's specific, targeted.
And it gets weirder. On the back of some photos, just numbers. Scroll on, 933 5'7".
Numbers, just numbers. What could they mean? Dates, coordinates.
No idea at this point. It's just incredibly bizarre. Finding your private history in a derelict house miles from home, marked with codes.
It feels like they've stumbled into something much bigger, something specifically about them, not just random trespassers anymore.
Understandably, the narrator's like, we need to leave, now.
I bet. Even Max must be freaked out by that.
He is, shaken up, agrees immediately. They turn to go. Front door, it's just gone.
Gone, like boarded up?
No, like replaced by a solid wall. As if it was never there.
Okay, that's impossible. Reality just broke.
Max is trying to rationalize it, tapping the wall, looking for a hidden catch or something. But no, it's solid.
That's the point where creepy becomes properly surreal, right? They're trapped, not just physically, but maybe in a different kind of reality.
Exactly. The rules don't seem to apply anymore.
Yeah.
And then the narrator sees it again.
The thing from the window.
A shadow figure.
Yeah.
Just for a second, moving down the hall, it stops Max in his tracks.
So they both see it this time. Or just the narrator.
Seems like the narrator saw it clearly enough to make Max stop frantically searching for the non-existent door. But then the strangest thing happens.
What?
Despite the fear, the narrator feels this pull, this compulsion to go towards the shadow, to investigate further down the hall.
Towards the danger. Why?
Who knows? Primal curiosity. Some kind of lure. The story doesn't explain the urge, just that it was undeniable. Max follows, reluctantly.
And then you mentioned the house shaking.
Yeah, just subtly. When Max puts down that box of photos, maybe a bit too hard, the whole structure seems to shudder.
Like the house itself is reacting, especially to that box. Maybe the box is key somehow.
Seems like it. So they go deeper into the house, following this weird compulsion, and the inside changes.
Changes how?
The architecture shifts. Suddenly, it's not a farmhouse interior anymore. It feels like a hospital wing.
What? Fluorescent lights, that sterile feel.
Exactly. Cold lighting, faded paint, that faint antiseptic smell mixed with the decay. It's completely different.
And the shadow figure.
He reappears briefly, slips into one of the rooms down this new hospital corridor,
Hmm?
and then they see a sign on the wall, like a hospital directory sign.
Don't tell me.
It says, Floor 9, Wing 3.
9 to 3, the numbers from the photos.
Bingo. An undeniable, explicit connection. Whatever's happening, it's deliberate, it's connected.
That's chilling. It suggests a purpose, a design behind the weirdness and the hospital setting. Maybe something about trauma, sickness, being trapped.
All possible interpretations. But then it gets even more specific, terrifyingly specific.
Wow.
They find a room, a door, with a label. And the label reads, Mark Weathers.
Wait. Isn't that...
The narrator's name.
Oh my God, no.
Yes, and inside, it's his childhood bedroom, perfectly recreated.
Everything. The furniture, the poster.
Down to the smallest detail. Utterly perfect replica, including the clock on the desk, which is stopped.
At what time?
3.41, and on the desk, there's a note. Just one sentence.
What does it say?
One link could ruin the whole chain.
Wow. Okay. Stepping into your own past in a place you've never been with a cryptic warning. That's next-level psychological horror.
It's so personal, isn't it? It implies this intimate knowledge, this violation of your deepest self.
Oh.
And the note. What chain? What link? Is he the link?
Makes the threat feel completely tailored to him. Unavoidable.
And here's another twist.
Yeah.
The narrator feels like they only looked at the note for maybe a few seconds, but Max says, dude, we've been in here nearly an hour.
Lost time. Or distorted time perception.
Exactly. And as they're registering this, the clock on the desk, it jumps forward to 4.30.
So time isn't just perceived differently, it's actively warping inside this space. That adds a whole other layer of disorientation. Can't trust space, can't trust time.
Nowhere feels safe or stable.
Yeah.
They get out of the replicated room, back into the hallway. But it's changed again.
So this time?
It's unfinished, like a construction site. Exposed wooden framing, beams, missing floorboards in places, just darkness below.
Like the reality of the house is unstable, flickering between states.
Maybe. And then they get their clearest look yet at the shadow figure.
Oh. What does it look like?
Humanoid.
Ugh.
But wrong. Grotesquely wrong. Arms too long, legs bend backwards, unnaturally.
Oh, gee.
And its eyes, solid white. No pupil, no iris, just white orbs staring right at them, constantly watching, moving deliberately.
That description is pure nightmare fuel. The backwards legs, the eyes, it elevates it from a shadow to a creature, a tangible monster.
Totally. It solidifies the threat. This isn't just a presence, it's a thing.
So what do? They can't go forward into that unfinished mess.
They manage to backtrack, somehow find their way back towards where the front door should be. And guess what?
It's back.
It's back, but it's defiled, covered in blood.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's writing in the blood. Next to it, taped or stuck to the door somehow, is another photo. One taken inside the house, presumably just moments ago.
A photo of them inside.
Seems like it. And the bloody message next to it says, "The key's upstairs, look for it."
So the exit is locked and the key is upstairs, back into the worst parts of the house.
Exactly. The narrator tries to break the door down first. Sheer desperation. But it's solid. No budging it.
They're being forced, manipulated into going deeper again. It's a horrifying choice. Stay trapped or go towards potentially worse horrors.
What choice do they have, really? Survival instinct kicks in. They need that key. So, reluctantly, they decide to go upstairs.
Armed, at least.
They grab some broken chair legs, makeshift weapons. Better than nothing, I guess.
Better than nothing. So they head up the stairs, creaking, I assume.
Oh, yeah. Super tense ascent. They check out the rooms up there. One is a little girl's room. Pastel pink walls.
Okay. Seems normal enough.
But it's been trash. Like a tornado went through it. And the dolls. They're hanging by their necks from the ceiling fan.
Jeez. That's incredibly disturbing. Symbolic, maybe? Violence against innocence?
Who knows? Just this awful tableau. But then, right next to it, the master bedroom.
Let me guess. Completely different.
Pristine? Untouched. Looks brand new almost, like no one's ever slept in the bed.
That contrast again. Order versus chaos? Why?
No explanation given. But on the perfectly made bed, another note.
Of course there is. What now?
This one says, "On the bedside table is where you'll find your freedom."
And on the bedside table?
Is a key, just sitting there.
That feels too easy. After everything, just here's the key.
My thoughts exactly. The narrator felt it too. Deeply suspicious. But what else can they do?
Nothing. They have to take it. Have to try it.
So they grab the key, race back downstairs to the bloody front door, heart pounding.
Does it work?
It works. The lock clicks open, they throw the door open and just run.
Don't look back. Just pure panic running.
Totally. They run and run, back down Route 1, back towards their neighborhood. The sun is starting to set by the time they get back, exhausted, traumatized.
But safe. Or seemingly safe.
Seemingly. But as the adrenaline fades, the narrator notices something wrong.
Wrong, yeah.
The world looks different, muted. The colors seem dull, faded, almost like everything's turned slightly gray.
Wow. Like the experience literally drained a color from their world. A psychological scar made visible.
Maybe. And then they see it again.
Not the creature. Not out here.
Yep. Standing at the edge of the woods, bordering their neighborhood. It looks even worse out here in the twilight. Taller, impossibly thin, ribs visible.
And the eyes.
Those solid white eyes. Staring right at the narrator. Just staring. For a long, long moment.
Chilling. Does it do anything?
No. After staring, it just turns and melts back into the woods, heading back towards the direction of the farmhouse.
But the message is clear. It's not confined to the house. It can follow.
Exactly. Yeah. The narrator says the feeling of being watched never really left after that. Yeah.
that it lingered. I can only imagine. But the story doesn't end there, does it? There's one final awful twist.
Right. The narrator gets home and finds their parents having this huge, violent fight, screaming at each other.
Yeah.
Which is completely out of character for them.
Just total chaos erupting in the one place that should be safe.
And the narrator's just frozen, can't speak, can't move, can't intervene, just watching this domestic horror unfold.
Oh, and
then the father stops, turns to the narrator, and his eyes...
Don't say it.
Solid white, just like the creature.
Oh, God.
And he looks right at the narrator and says, you are the link that ruined the chain. Then he just turns and walks out.
And that's the end. He just leaves.
That's how the narrative ends. Utterly chilling. Bringing the entity, the phrase, the eyes, right into the family home.
It collapses everything. The supernatural horror isn't just out there in the abandoned house. It's breached the walls of reality, of family. That line. The link that ruined the chain. Echoing the note. It's devastating.
It really is. What an incredibly powerful, disturbing story. Shared by one of you listening. It mixes those haunted house tropes we know, but makes it so intensely personal.
That personalization is key, isn't it? The photos, the bedroom replica, it suggests the horror knew the narrator intimately, violated their past, their identity.
It leaves you with so many questions. What parts of that hit you the hardest? What on earth could that link be? Or the chain?
And the numbers, 9357, what do they signify? The hospital wing, something else.
It really makes you think about memory, fear, how The reality can feel like it's blurring at the edges sometimes.
It's a narrative that definitely sticks with you, makes you reflect on places that feel off, on trusting your senses, on how easily the unexplained can just shatter your normal life.
Yeah, the fact that it's left so open-ended is almost scarier. It invites you, the listener, to ponder it. Maybe think about your own brushes with the uncanny, if you've had them.
And how these personal stories shape how we even understand those kinds of events.
Maybe the most unsettling stories aren't just the ones we read in books or hear about secondhand.
Maybe they're the ones that somehow seem to know us already, waiting.